Now, to learn a software as complex as Blender within such a small amount of time, I need two things. Number one is a clear goal. I need something to be working towards, so at the end of the 30 days, I'll know if I've learned Blender or not. And number two is a solid plan. So, I'll get that started. Let day number one officially commence, and I'm gonna fall. The plan was simple. Each day up until day 15, I would follow a tutorial. But we had a slight problem, because you see, Blender has so many different aspects to it, it can literally be like 10 different softwares. So you have the modeling, you have the texturing, you have the animation, and you have whatever this is. So making a plan for all of these aspects was nearly impossible. So I decided to cover the main aspects I wanted to learn, which were modeling, shading, and animation. But what about the remaining 15 days? I'd make my own thing. Little did I know this was going to be a terrible way to learn a new software, but more on that later. Yeah. First set of tutorials I decided to follow was the CG Fast Track Sword tutorials. These tutorials covered pretty much the main aspects of Blender, and it was explained in a way even I could understand it. So day 1, 2, and 3 was spent scratching my head, trying to navigate around the system, and on day 3, there was such a dumb problem. There was literally such a dumb problem. How come this person has, like, a depth of field? Oh, what the hell? So, the tutorial said to plug this node into the volume node, and I plugged it into the surface node, which made no sense. So after around an hour of finagling, I finally found the solution. Oh my god. Why? As I previously mentioned, these 3 tutorials showed me the very basics of how to use Blender. Navigation using these things, how to duplicate and texture objects, as well as make a really cool sword in the process. However, these tutorials did not prepare me for what was to come. On day number 4, I decided to follow a tutorial made by Polygon Runway. The only thing you need to know about Polygon Runway, however, is he talks really fast. This guy. Like, super fast. So fast, in fact, I genuinely think an F1 car would struggle to keep up with how fast his mouth moves. There was a simple solution, however. I just needed to slow down the video. Right? Wrong! Me being the genius that I am, I decided to play and pause and play and pause and play and pause and play and pause the video so many times. Now, you might wonder, Kara, how is this relevant to learning Blender? And I have one thing to say. Pain. That's why. Now, as fun as this challenge seemed, this tutorial would mark the start of an ever downward spiral in my mental health. Sure, following tutorials became fun for a little bit, but on day 7, 8, and 9, I started to crack. I no longer wanted to do it. I no longer wanted to continue with doing this challenge. And I'd literally procrastinate all day up until like 11 PM, and then I'd finally get done with the tutorial, but I pushed through. This push through really gave me some fun back, because I started innovating on the tutorials instead of just blindly following them like I previously have been. A prime example of it becoming fun again by just simply innovating it was day number 13. This was the day that I started learning how animation worked in Blender. But instead of blindly following the tutorial like I previously had been, I just decided to make the pot that the flower is in a Mario pipe, and add a custom background and floor, which I had to UV map to the ground and back, and it was quite fun, to be fair. After day number 13, it all seemed to be going way too well. Like, the tutorials were getting really easy, and everything started to become a bit more fun. On day number 14 and 15, I just followed the tutorials with the switch animation and the satisfying loop, and we hit the critical moment that my plan became useless. After day number 15, I tasked myself with creating my own project. This project was the end goal, but we had one problem. It wasn't clear enough. So I started brainstorming. And the idea that I landed on was called Zootopia. The backstory to Zootopia was 4 islands scattered throughout the universe have come together once more and created a galaxy where 4 distinct biomes exist in harmony. The only problem with this was it stopped me from progressing within Blender. All I needed to do with this project was model a few islands and animals and call it a day. So over the next 12 days, that's what I did. I'd sit down, make an animal, an island, or a piece of nature, and move on. There wasn't any pushback. My enthusiasm alongside my mental state started to dwindle. So much in fact, on day 24, I literally spent 10 minutes in Blender and called it a day. With this downfall in my enthusiasm, I knew something had to be done. So on day number 27, I declared Zootopia complete. If I would have declared the entire challenge done just because Zootopia was done and it wasn't challenging me, I genuinely think I'd be disappointed. But with 3 days to spare, I decided to tackle a new aspect of Blender. You see, at the start of this, I did mention Blender has so many different aspects, and one aspect that have caught my eye since the very beginning was this thing called geometry nodes. I still don't know what they are, but they are cool. So with the last 3 days, I decided to just spend them having fun and genuinely just trying my hardest to learn geometry nodes. On day number 28, I made this cool vibrating box. On day number 29, I made this cool rail thingy. And finally, on day number 30, I made this. That was the celebration. That was the satisfaction I was looking for. And there we go. 30 days in Blender was complete. Now, you might feel like I've brushed over a few things and my whole process behind learning Blender, but I wanted to highlight the journey more than what I actually did. You see, having crazy ambition is something I've always had. I can't simply accept being mediocre at something. This may come off as arrogant or conceited, but it's the truth. As cliche as it sounds, this challenge has taught me that the journey is way more important than the destination. And that it's fine not to be the best at everything. It's fine to dwindle that ambition into smaller, more achievable bites that one day will fulfill that ambiguous goal. Because most times, like this challenge in fact, my ambition clouds the journey, and it makes it a miserable experience. The last thing I have to say is, it's crazy how little change we see on a day-to-day basis, and how much change has actually happened. I've spent a month in Blender, and I've learnt to go from nothing to making really cool and cute animals with no tutorial. So imagine this on a huge scale. Imagine implementing that one thing you do every single day, and do it for a year. You'll be 100 times better than you were originally. So if you have something you want to start, I mean, just go for it. Thank you for watching me suffer. Have a wonderful day.